Kent Police, where's your emergency?
Hiya, who do I report a missing person to?
Who's actually missing?
It's my wife. She walked out early hours Wednesday morning and she ain't been back since.
It didn't add up. Why would she be gone for so long and why wouldn't she tell anyone?
Maybe she had mental health issues and she had enough.
Some people do find they can't cope with the pressures of life and wander off.
The police, they were searching the area with sniffer dogs, police helicopter.
It was much worse than we thought.
And I was like, am I under arrest then?
In the heart of the Kent countryside lies the quaint village of Northbourne.
It's a very picturesque village, very rural setting, close to the coast, and actually a lovely place to be. Lots of nice walks through the fields and woodland nearby.
Everybody knows everybody. There is that sense of community and a sense of it being a safe environment.
We have quite a nice village hall in a pub, surrounded by farmland. It's quite a nice, quiet place to live. Crime is not generally a problem here.
With such a welcoming community, it was the perfect place for Micah Cudworth to set up home.
Micah was born in Poland, but she came to live in Kent, and she came to see Kent as being her home.
She came over presumably to have a better life, to have a new adventure, and settled here and was well known and liked here.
She didn't come to England on her own. She was married before, and she came with the partner that she had at the time. But they separated, and she met Jonathan.
John was obviously a local lad and lived in this area all his life as far as he went to school in the area, joined the military, came out of that eventually and got a job here as a forklift truck driver.
Jonathan is a really sweet kid. He is really gentle, quite quiet, very reserved. And he came from a nice family. They were all good people.
With an opportunity for a second chance at love, in 2013, Micah and Jonathan tied the knot, and she found a safe haven with her new extended family in Kent.
Micah's family still lived in Poland. Her only family in England was actually Jonathan's family. She deemed her friends in England to be her family, so living and remaining here was important to her.
She was very involved with his family. They were like one big family, and I think she loved that. I think that's what her intention of coming here. She wanted that family sentiment, and, you know, she got that.
It didn't take long for the happy couple to settle in well to village life.
Mikey was beautiful, funny, fun-loving. She was just a real bright energy. She could make you laugh, make you smile.
They were an ordinary young couple which was missing in the village. So it was nice, it was a pleasure to see them.
Micah and Jonathan were a devoted couple.
As any normal couple would. They'd walk down to the end of the road. Micah would go rushing off wherever work. She'd always smile, she'd always, you know, put her hand up. John, I would see occasionally on his way down to the pub, and occasionally on the way back from the pub.
And it wasn't long before Micah took up part-time work, which put her centre stage in the community.
She had a job as a barmaid in a village pub. You know, lots and lots of people would go in that pub. Quite a small size, but with a lovely big garden. And I think in that pub, it's very close-knit, you know, it's very friendly. And to have had very friendly, bubbly and attractive barmaid there, she would have been a very well-known and very well-liked girl.
8 years since her move from Poland, Micah appeared happy with her life in the UK. But she may not have been as content as it seemed.
Kent Police, where's your emergency?
Hiya, who do I report a missing person to?
Who's actually missing?
It's my wife. She came home about 11:30 because she went to meet somebody for a drink. We had a little bit of a row and she stormed off and she ain't been back since.
So is she vulnerable in any way due to disability, mental health, or any other factors?
She has been a bit down lately.
Okay.
Micah had gone out after work and had a drink with a friend. She'd come home late. They'd had an argument. She'd stormed off. The next day, she was still missing. And then the following morning, Jonathan reported her as missing.
Worried about Micah's whereabouts, officers do a quick search of the house for clues. They discover she had taken just a few essentials with her, keys and a handbag. But her car is still in the driveway, and her...
You think, have you heard anything?
But with no information from neighbours, concern grows as to Micah's whereabouts and her state of mind. Kent Police decide to issue a missing persons appeal to the public.
We received a press release from police to say that Micah had gone missing. It's human instinct, so it instantly struck a chord and we thought, something's wrong here. It didn't add up. Why would she be gone for so long and why wouldn't she tell anyone?
Naturally you think, God, this woman must be so unwell. Maybe she had mental health issues and she kind of like had enough and left the house in the middle of the night. It was sad.
Kent Police, where's your emergency?
Hiya, who do I report a missing person to?
Who's actually missing?
In the quaint village of Northbourne, unease is growing over Micah Cudworth's whereabouts. She's been missing for more than 24 hours.
In the village, there was a real concern as to where Micah might be.
From our point of view, it was a case each day we wanted to know where was Micah, had she been found.
Concerned about her state of mind, her loving husband, Jonathan, has reported her missing. Worried that her low mood had led her to look for comfort outside of the family home.
So is she vulnerable in any way?
And wander off.
Life gets difficult and life gets tough, which it does for all of us, and we all face challenging circumstances in our lives.
Having walked out in the middle of the night after an argument, the village can't imagine what's going through her husband's mind.
I actually reached out to John and said, hey, this is really terrible. And I remember saying to him, you know, just hang on, hopefully she's going to find her and she'll get the help that she needs.
After 24 hours with no contact from Micah and with no clues to her whereabouts, police start considering the possibility she could have harmed herself or met someone out to cause her harm. A full-scale search is launched.
Suddenly, lots of police vans turn up. From seeing no police cars or hardly any police cars to being descended on by police was a little bit of a shock.
The police, they were searching the area nearby. That was with sniffer dogs, police helicopter.
You bring in resources, dogs, police dogs, searching fields, especially in the rural area of East Kent, there's a vast amount of agriculture. You might get the helicopter camera up with the infrared to see if you can find someone in the field somewhere that's still alive.
Police continue to scour the surrounding areas and question Micah's family and friends. But it appears after walking out into the night, she simply disappeared.
Generally speaking, most missing persons turn up very shortly, certainly within, if not 24 hours sooner. This was then 30-odd hours. And then, of course, 36, 48 hours. And you always live in hope. But, of course, the longer it goes on, you always fear the worst.
As the days pass, husband Jonathan and the rest of the family desperately cling on for any hope that Micah will be found safe and well.
I was devastated for him. I felt for him, I felt for his family. I just wanted to help them, support them.
We responded as best we could, and the church was open. We had a small little area as a place where people could come for prayer and reflection.
As the local search fails to uncover any clue as to where Micah has gone, detectives decide to increase the media campaign with the hope of reaching out nationally and internationally.
Police are urging anyone who may have seen Micah Cudworth to contact them. The barmaid walked out of her home just before midnight on Tuesday and hasn't been seen since. Polish-born Micah from Northbourne was last seen wearing white trainers, grey tracksuit bottoms and carrying a black handbag.
When the police released her photograph, that's when the public interest really did peak. She looked like a bubbly, happy, kind and well-liked person. So the public interest really did come alive.
There was a lot of talk on social media. You can imagine when you live in these little villages, somebody goes missing and the local newspaper saying, you know, have you seen this person? It was everywhere.
Media campaigns are important, and very often by media campaigns and using the local media especially, you get sightings. Trouble with sightings is you can very often get people ringing in with genuine callers who believe they've seen perhaps the missing person when in fact it's not them at all. So you have to be careful that you're not taken down blind alleys.
And the longer Micah remains missing, the more rumours start to circulate throughout the village.
I think Micah, in the crudest sense, ticked a lot of boxes. As a barmaid, she would have been very popular. She was pretty attractive and supposedly quite bubbly, so she will have been very liked.
Rumours are rife, and particularly in a village. People start talking, you know, she was a little bit too fond of a customer down at the pub.
She was very friendly with certain individuals, and one man in particular, and it was suspected by some people that she was having an affair.
Could Micah be with this man? Had she walked out into the arms of a new lover? Suddenly, there's hope this could be the case. A post from Micah appears on social media, written in Polish.
Micah's friends had received Facebook messages from Micah saying, "It's okay, I'm all right, I just need some space." But that hope was soon dashed when the friends had spoken to police to say that the messages they'd received weren't quite grammatically correct.
Some of her friends were questioning the grammatical use of Polish. It wasn't her usual way of speaking, as it were, on messages.
They couldn't see that Micah would have written them like that, and something just wasn't adding up.
Clearly, if she was sending these messages out, they weren't being sent by her.
But if it isn't her, then who is writing these messages? Detective suspicion that something sinister has happened to Micah grows. And they widen their inquiries and home in on certain people.
The persons of interest would have been the man from the pub who was allegedly having an affair with her, and indeed any other customers that would be regular customers in the pub, because if she's having an affair with somebody, there'll be other customers in the pub who will be able perhaps to provide some significant information with regard to their friendship.
Police trace the man, Micah. He is questioned. Concerned by the latest development, Micah and Jonathan's friends and family rally round him.
Jonathan had called some friends and asked them to come round and give him support. They came round and they spent time with him.
4 days after Micah was reported missing, Kent police make a shocking announcement.
Police investigating the disappearance of 36-year-old Micah Cudworth have said they've made an arrest. The barmaid from Northbourne went missing 5 days ago and hasn't been sighted since. Police say they are growing increasingly concerned for Miss Cudworth's safety.
What's transpired, it was, yes, much worse than we thought.
Kent Police, where's your emergency?
It's my wife. She walked out early hours Wednesday morning. She ain't been back since.
In the Kent village of Northbourne, police investigating the disappearance of barmaid Micah Cudworth now suspect she may have been murdered. Believing messages Micah sent her friends after she went missing were actually sent by someone else, police question a man she was suspected of having an affair with.
The police released a statement to say that they'd arrested somebody, a man, in connection with Micah's disappearance.
But the man they arrested is not her suspected lover, but her husband, Jonathan Cudworth.
One of John's sisters said he'd been arrested, and I was like, what?
The news sends shockwaves across the village. How could this loving husband have anything to do with her disappearance?
It's hard to describe, really. It's just a lot of disbelief, I think.
The initial reaction for people in the immediate vicinity would be shock, surprise, nice couple.
When somebody's been arrested in connection with someone's disappearance, the public interest really does step up. That's what people then really start to talk about at the school gates, in the pub.
As rumours circulate around the village, it is revealed that Jonathan has been arrested on suspicion of GBH after police visited his house and noticed drops of blood by the front door, with Jonathan admitting that he had a minor altercation before Micah stormed off. Officers secure the house as a potential crime scene and carry out a search of an outbuilding.
And it was outside by the shed that they found some drops of blood.
Inside the outbuilding, officers discover a blood-stained doormat and cat basket. Both items are immediately seized and taken for forensic testing.
I would think that was the time that this became a homicide murder investigation.
Gradually, the realisation came that she may have actually been killed, and the police presence was becoming, in that sense, rather more sinister.
In custody, police believe the evidence points to Jonathan having more than just hit Micah.
During police interviews, he strenuously denied that he had anything to do with Micah's disappearance.
Jonathan, he was a nice lad. He wasn't mean. I don't remember him being aggressive or angry or volatile.
Jonathan admits he has Micah's Facebook password and posted messages pretending to be from her in Polish. But he says it was to stop her friends from harassing him. He says the blood found was from a minor altercation. Police decide to charge him with murder. But there's one problem. 7 days since she was last seen, there's still no sign of Micah, dead or alive. Officers widen their search both inside Micah's home and the surrounding areas. And suddenly, there's a breakthrough. A large amount of blood is discovered in the sitting room beneath the rug. And more blood is found in the boot of the family car. Police discover Jonathan had bought the rug in nearby Sandwich after Micah had gone missing. Slowly, they start to piece together Jonathan's movements since Micah's disappearance. The search for her is becoming desperate, and the family turn to their friend Ali.
Ali Austin is a psychic. She was contacted by Jonathan's family and asked if she would be able to help in the search for Micah.
So to label myself, I'm a fortune teller. I'm a psychic, I'm a clairvoyant, a clairaudient. I see, hear and sense things. and a message came through, and it was from one of John's sisters. And it said, "Hi, Ali, is there any chance you can do a reading for me?" I was like, "Yeah, sure." And they were like, "Would you come out and search with us?" And I was like, "Of course I'm going to come out and search with you." And then we went off and we continued to search for 16, 17 hours a day.
We have known of a psychic being brought in before to help try to locate a body. The body has never been found, but sometimes that can be of help to the family because they feel that they're getting somebody to help them. When somebody has lost a member of their family, they will cling on to any kind of hope that they might still be alive.
I just wanted to help this family. I was just like, these poor people, this is horrific. She needs to be laid to rest. And that was all I focused on.
As Ali joins the search for Micah, along with family and friends, police discover video evidence from the night following Micah's disappearance.
A friend of mine, he had a CCTV, which was pointing out to the road. And I think it was John said he didn't go out of the property on that particular night, but it proved to be just after 2 o'clock, I think, in the morning, there was his car going by.
Detectives believe the 10-minute trip is significant in their hunt for Micah and concentrate their search to a 5-minute drive of the house. Further CCTV from earlier that day also proves key to the case against Jonathan.
There is capture of CCTV images from various areas, which includes him in a shop buying cleaning materials and attending a deal pier, throwing items which turn out, we think, to be a handbag and a phone off the end of the pier.
I think that that's a vital cog that it enabled this investigation to keep on turning and for them to find out what had actually happened.
With police believing the CCTV proves Jonathan is responsible for Micah's disappearance, it also shows he made a trip to a refuse tip with multiple large bags. The search for Micah shifts to a landfill site. As the police search spreads, Ali Austin is concentrating her search in Eastry, where Jonathan grew up.
Quite a few of us were out, and I was like, why don't I try dowsing? Dowsing is a method that has been used for centuries to find objects. Even when I say it, it sounds ridiculous, but we had nothing to lose. I was exhausted. We were in a field, and there was me and Jonathan's sisters, and I used this ring. So I took this ring, and you hold it. So we had this map, and I just got everyone to close their eyes and concentrate, and I was like, just say, Micah, like, where are you? So we were sitting there, and I'll be honest, even I'm like, this is ridiculous, you know, this is ridiculous. And the ring stopped on a point on the map, on a roundabout.
Ali and the family make their way to the roundabout and immediately begin to comb the surrounding fields.
I just remember pulling up, and I ran off away from my car, and it was a rape field, and it was like 5 foot high, and you can't move. I've never been in a rape field, you can't move in that stuff, it's all intertwined. And I remember like literally being like this in the field, running like in a zigzag. And then the next thing I know, I was standing on her. And she was in the field. So when I found her, I just remember screaming to everybody. I found her and told everybody not to move and not to come. But that was the point that her body had been abandoned, yes. And this is where we waited, and obviously it was, from that point, it was a crime scene. I didn't even think about what would happen if I did actually find her. I never gave that thought. But then when I'm standing there, looking at her, 12 days after her life was taken, I can never unsee that.
Kent police have said that the body of a woman found in a field near Eastry in Kent is that of missing 36-year-old Micah Cudworth.
The news that everyone feared has now become a reality.
There was a real sense of grief and loss. For that to happen was, really quite shocking for people and disturbing. It's a sort of incident you would more likely expect to happen in a big city.
It's a sad thing more than anything else. And Micah was suddenly not being here anymore. It was upsetting, and there was...
Micah's body is taken to the mortuary, where a post-mortem is carried out to determine a cause of death.
The post-mortem reveals Micah was stabbed, I think, 4 times. It would appear she lost half the blood in her body. The injuries she sustained as a result of those stab wounds were clearly fatal.
With Jonathan already in custody, detectives turn their attention to the circumstances surrounding the discovery of Micah's body, and specifically Ali Austin's involvement.
This psychic comes into the frame. Used to go to school, I think, with Cudworth. She practices her psychic medium, and apparently, as a result of some readings that she's done, she finds the body before the police. It's bizarre, absolutely bizarre. I would certainly be having the lady in for questioning.
Suddenly, Ali Austin finds herself at the centre of a murder investigation.
I was told to present myself at Folkestone Police Station, and I rode to Folkestone Police Station on my motorbike the next morning. And I was showed to a room, and there was 2 or 3 kind of like detectives there. And the next thing I know, they brought all these maps out, and they're going to me, put a black cross where your mum and dad's house is. So I was like, okay. So I looked at this massive aerial map. I put a black cross where my mum and dad's. They went and put a black cross where Jonathan Cudworth's mum and dad's house is. So I put a black cross where they live. Put a black cross where you found Micah. So I did that. And I remember at that point, something in my head going, this isn't right. This is not, why are you asking me this? This is ridiculous. And then I asked for a break, and I went to get my cigarettes from my crash helmet, and they went, leave your helmet here. And I was like, pardon? And they were like, can you leave your helmet, please? And I was like, why, am I under arrest then? And they were like, no, but you're not allowed to leave.
Ali Austin's involvement sparks a lot of interest from the national media.
It had all of the ingredients for a juicy murder story. The first thing you think is, the husband's done it. But then, a psychic sniffs out a body. That is the sort of thing that, whether people believe it or not, they're interested in, and they want to read, they want to find out everything. It refreshed the story.
But Ali's potential involvement is soon eclipsed following a revelation that on the night of the 10th of May, Jonathan had called a family member from prison and made a startling admission.
He admitted to the crime, the killing.
During the call, Jonathan disclosed the area where he dumped Micah's body. Using this vital info, his family had then turned to Ali to help pinpoint the exact spot. Following this revelation, the police are happy she played no other part.
I do believe I was a suspect. I'm like, local psychic. Maybe I put her there and then wanted the glory of I found a body. Morally, like that just rips my soul to pieces to think that at some point in a police interview room or a police station somewhere, I genuinely believe that I might have played a part in putting that woman there. But they don't know me. There was a lot of coincidences. You know, I can't deny that.
With Micah's body discovered and Jonathan charged, the question remains, why did this loving husband murder his wife? And how? Jonathan Cudworth has been charged with the murder of his wife, Micah. Despite the evidence against him, Jonathan pleads not guilty to murder. He claims diminished responsibility because of a momentary loss of control, and the case is sent for trial.
Having admitted to the killing and him charged with murder, it's then, of course, up to a judge and a jury, isn't it? That's all the police can do, is put forward the facts, the evidence that they can obtain, and any explanation that the defendant may give.
On the 7th December 2015, the trial begins at Canterbury Crown Court. And the question on everyone's lips is, what could have possibly led to Jonathan losing control and killing his wife, Micah?
John had a trust issues. You know, he didn't trust Micah. He thought Micah was having an affair.
My neighbour, said that there was problems, probably, with their marriage. He'd heard them arguing. She met somebody else, which was one of the reasons for the domestics.
So police found that Jonathan had been tracking Micah's whereabouts through a phone app, which suggests that he had a growing sense of paranoia about where she was, what she was doing, and who she was spending time with.
The court hears what Micah and Jonathan had been arguing about the night she was killed.
Jonathan had been questioning Micah about where she'd been and who she'd been with. And he lashed out in a jealous rage.
The jury hears Jonathan's prepared statement, claiming that Micah had admitted to an affair and was goading him aggressively. The defence being that he momentarily lost control.
Jonathan said that Micah had become aggressive, and he, as a reaction, had felt around for the weapon, and he'd hit her.
This was some tragic crime of passion, that he was actually the victim of this really strong-willed woman that was having an affair. They rowed, he's gone mad, and he's put a knife in her.
The court is stunned to hear Jonathan's version of events. But had he really killed her in a moment of madness?
Crimes of passion, of course they can occur, None of us could say we haven't got it in us. There's people, they might do something in the heat of the moment, regret it, oh, no, and go, oh my God, this has happened. It could happen to a lot of people in all different scenarios.
However, details from the post-mortem are read out in court, which questions Jonathan's defence, that he simply lashed out. Not only had Micah suffered a blunt force hit to the head, but she had bruises to her wrists and neck, along with a knife attack that the prosecution claim intended to end her life.
I realised that a crime of passion, a mistake, is maybe lashing out, pushing, shoving. Maybe he was cutting apples at the time, maybe he did have a knife in his hand. But she was stabbed 4 times. So she's been stabbed through her heart and then continuously stabbed on the upper part of her body, which corresponds with what my eyes saw.
And soon it becomes clear that Jonathan has a checkered history with relationships.
Police subsequently found out that there was a loose history of domestic violence, which included another ex-girlfriend and Micah herself.
The court hears there had been one prior report to the police of a domestic verbal altercation between Jonathan and Micah.
Micah notified the police that she was a victim of domestic abuse and that she lived in fear of Jonathan. This wasn't a random crime of passion.
It appears Micah and Jonathan's relationship had broken down completely, and she had made plans to leave him.
Since speaking to her family and her friends, she'd visited Poland 2 weeks before her death. She was leaving him. She'd saved £700, hidden in a drawer. She was going to be free of him. It is alleged that she had met somebody else, and whether she was going to have a life with them, I don't know. And she was confident that it was over. And she returned to England, ready to prepare to start her new life.
But before Micah could move on without Jonathan in her life, events conspired to stop her in her tracks on the night of the 29th of April.
She'd been working at the local pub, and she came home sometime around 11:30, 12 o'clock.
Phone analysis from that evening reveals that Jonathan had become more and more irate as the evening wore on, and was continually asking where Micah was in text messages.
It transpired in court that after Jonathan had killed Micah, he dragged her body to a compost heap in the garden and left her there while he worked out how to dispose of her body.
I believe she was behind the shed and he covered her body in grass cuttings. Everyone was around, and that is where she lay.
On the next day, Cudworth then got rid of her handbag and phone off the end of the pier and bought some cleaning up materials from a local shop.
And then he loaded Micah's body into the back of the car and drove her off to the field where he disposed of her.
The following morning, Jonathan calls the police to report Micah missing.
Kent Police, where's your emergency?
It's my wife. She walked out early hours Wednesday morning and she ain't been back since.
So is she vulnerable in any way?
No, but she has been a bit down lately.
Okay.
The extent that Jonathan had gone to conceal the fact that he had taken Micah's life. He'd tried to cover his tracks by sending messages to her friends. I get the feeling from this behaviour that it's very calculated, it's cold, and it shows no remorse.
During a grueling trial at Canterbury Crown Court, the evidence against Jonathan appears overwhelming. A sustained, brutal attack on Micah, covering his tracks by disposing of Micah's body and her belongings, as well as a checkered history of past relationships. The jury retires to consider its verdict. Jonathan is found not guilty of Micah Cudworth's murder.
We were so surprised. We thought that there'd been such a strong case for murder against Jonathan, and to find out that he'd been found guilty of the lesser charge of manslaughter.
As he admitted to stabbing and killing his wife before the trial, the jury accepts his version of events, that of killing her through diminished responsibility.
I think Mr. Cudworth was an extremely lucky person to get off a murder charge. Very lucky, I think, because I've seen cases where, similar sort of things, and jury have come back guilty of murder.
With the lesser conviction of manslaughter, Jonathan is sentenced to 15 years in prison.
It's appalling. It is appalling. How can her life be worth 15 years? You know, how do we stop this? How do we deter people from going that far? We need stricter sentences. You know, a life should mean life.
Even with the
consequences for everybody, for the families trying to move forward in this situation, and it leaves a scar on the community.
It's her resting place, isn't it? It's not ideal. I know her resting place, final resting place, is now in Poland, as it should be, but it's where her story ended, isn't it? And it should never have been that way. She didn't deserve this. Regardless of whether or not she was leaving him, regardless of whether or not she was dating somebody else, the penalty that she paid was atrocious. And it will stay with us, it will stay with me. It's an absolute tragedy, and it's a tragedy for our community.
There'd been a fire in the Elizabeth Road area of Boston.
Police discovered a woman, early 30s, in a flat on her own, dead.
It was clearly a very violent, cold-blooded killing.
It was scary. Not something you expect to happen on your doorstep.
The people of Boston feared that there was a killer at large.
We thought, is this to do with this gang-related thing? They'd just got her. They'd found out where she lived and got her.
In the heart of the Lincolnshire countryside is the thriving market town of Boston.
Boston's a town that's steeped in history. At one stage, it was the second largest port in the UK to Liverpool. You've got such things as the Guildwood Hall.
We got a nice Boston stamp. It's a big church, which is very beautiful architecture. You can see from anywhere. If you get lost, just to look for a Boston stamp.
Because it's rural, you've got plenty of nice open spaces. And then you've got a town with local people in it, local trades.
It was a small village and now it's a town. And they're very lovely people, very laid back. They have a very Bostonian humour about them.
Anybody that comes past, it's always good morning. It's not like city life where they just ignore each other.
No, we'll be sat on the doorstep having a cup of tea. An old woman or someone comes past, you're like, you all right, good morning?
Yeah, you don't know him from Adam, but you just say good morning.
Yeah.
With its surrounding farmland, Boston has long been a draw for those looking for work.
Boston is essentially the vegetable breadbasket of the United Kingdom. About a third of the fresh fruit and vegetable comes from that area in the whole of the UK.
Farmers need, packhouses need X amount of casual labour. Boston doesn't hold that amount of casual labour, so that labour has to come in from elsewhere. And that's always been the case all the way back.
In recent years, the town has been transformed by the arrival of workers from across Europe.
Boston's changed incredibly over the last 20 years with the migration from the European Union. It's had the highest amount of migration for anywhere in the country. The first wave came from Portugal, but gradually as more Eastern European countries came into the EU, it was predominantly Baltic states, Lithuania, Latvia, and then Poland, and latterly Bulgaria and Romania.
Many European people here. There's lots of factory and field work, jobs around, many cabbages. That's where you got sprouts for Christmas. So we are not that bad.
33-year-old Marina Urte moved to Boston in 2007 to start a new life for herself.
Marina came from Latvia. She found work at a fruit packaging plant, and I think she was fairly popular there and well-liked.
She was more crazier than me. No, she was a lovely girl. She was beautiful, quite popular. When she started her work, she'd been offered higher position than other people. She was like leader.
She was known as being quite frank and quite honest, but also a hard worker.
She wanted jobs done right. She would tell you where to go, what to do and how to do. And if obviously somebody was doing something wrong, she wouldn't be quiet. Quite perfectionist.
We were working together in the same factories and we would go out partying sometimes, but I would say most of our time we would spend at the job. Me and Marina, we were similar in terms of career progression and temperament and wanting to improve, earn more money and create more comfortable life for us.
Marina had settled into Boston, and with a steady job and a new group of friends, she met 33-year-old Gytis Griskavikas.
She met Gytis in 2009. He came from Lithuania.
He used to work with us at the factory as well. He was a very nice, intelligent guy, very friendly, very caring. And I just remember that he turned up at our door, taking her out somewhere. They were really happy, they were really in love.
And they married quite quickly, I think, in 2010.
They have a nice wedding, and she have a nice dress, and it was like a fairy tale, like a big love story. They loved each other, and they was really in love and happy.
He was flying, and he had all the sparks in his eyes, and Marina, so yeah, they were in love.
And it wasn't long before Marina and Gytis decided to start a family together. In November 2010, Marina gave birth to their baby daughter.
She was very good mommy. She adored her little girl. She was always calling her little princess, always.
Gytis, likewise, was also a good husband and a good dad. They were a normal, happy family.
Sadly, the relationship between Marina and Gytis didn't last. But they both agreed to raise their daughter together whilst living separately. And as Marina continued to impress at her job, she began to think big for her future.
She was always taking care of flowers, and she always dreamed to have like some little shop with many different kinds, and she would sell them for special occasions like weddings or big birthdays.
But in the summer of 2016, everything changes when one of Marina's neighbours calls an emergency engineer, believing there's been a gas leak.
The next door neighbour smelt something under the stairs.
But when the engineer arrives, he suspects the smell is coming from Marina's flat and looks through her letterbox. They spot a smouldering fire and call the fire brigade immediately.
Fire rescue. Oh, hello. I've been called to the downstairs flat, but we can smell smoke from upstairs, and there's fire damage to the stairs.
Right, okay.
I remember learning there'd been a fire in the Elizabeth Road area of Boston. I don't think there was any obvious sign of the fire from outside, but certainly the neighbours were aware that it had been a fire.
The lady from downstairs thinks there'll be somebody inside upstairs, but we can't get up the stairs because they're too damaged.
Okay, we have got fire crews on the way to it, okay.
Firefighters force their way into the flat and put out the smouldering fire, whilst checking if anyone is home. At first it appears empty, but as the crew enter the bathroom, they make a shocking discovery.
They find a woman, early 30s, in a flat on her own, dead. Obviously by strange circumstances, in a bath, no water in the bath, covered in soot, with a hose on top of her. You know, you think, good gracious, you know, how on earth has this happened?
Police are immediately called to the scene.
I want to know what the cause of death is roughly at that stage. So is it a homicide? Is it suspicious? I mean, just because a body's been found in the bath doesn't necessarily mean it's suspicious. It could have been an accidental fire or something like that.
Police quickly established that the dead woman is Marina Ertey. It becomes obvious she has been brutally attacked, with horrific injuries to her face and body. A murder investigation is immediately launched and officers secure the scene.
It's all about scene preservation. The scene can tell you a phenomenal amount, and the last thing that you need is that scene corrupting.
News of Marina's death quickly spreads through the street.
We all gets moved out of the flat, and then next hour or so, turns out she's been murdered in a battle. We never, ever thought for a second that there was a murder. We just generally thought there was a fire. Not something you expect to happen on your doorstep. It's just crazy.
In the quaint market town of Boston, Lincolnshire, the usual tranquility has been disturbed by the sirens of fire engines. And neighbours on Elizabeth Road are stunned to learn that not only was the fire set deliberately, but that 33-year-old Marina Urte has been brutally murdered.
The residents were shocked to learn that it was a murder because initially, like everyone else, they thought it was a fire.
Everybody was in shock. You just didn't know how to get your head around it.
There was always a police car parked just there on the side.
Constant flashes, weren't there?
Yeah.
Forensic cameras, it was just unreal, wasn't it?
It's just not what we expected at all.
It is a quiet area, so for something like this just happened, I think it did shake everybody up, to be honest.
When a crime like that hits Boston, it's very painful to hear. Some Bostonian people, they do feel afraid, they feel afraid going out. It just brings this grey shadow over your community.
As Marina has been senselessly attacked in her home for no apparent reason, the community is on high alert.
The people of Boston feared that there was a killer at large.
It was scary. There was always that worry of somebody coming back. They could have potentially took more lives.
It isn't long before Marina's family and friends learn of the brutal attack on their loved one.
Someone texted me saying that the fire brigade and police is there, so she's been killed.
I was in shock. I couldn't believe. It was my birthday, so obviously from very high happiness I went in deep sadness and proper shock. I thought, what? Is that really possible?
With a murder investigation underway, police need to establish a timeline of Marina's last known movements.
There's all sorts of inquiries that need to be made. We would have people immediately looking for CCTV in the area. We'd have people very, very quickly knocking on doors to find out who's been seen in the area, who hasn't. We need to find out when this happened, because that's the starting point, isn't it? When was she last seen, and who was she last seen by? Also, where she worked, who she would normally work with, when should she have been in at work last?
Officers speak to Marina's colleagues at the fruit packing factory where she worked and narrow the time frame on her last known movements.
Police discovered Marina hadn't turned in for work 5 o'clock that morning. So clearly, whatever had happened before that time. And that's absolutely key part of the investigation.
Back at the scene, police and fire experts examine the cause of the fire and quickly establish it had been purposely set after Marina had died.
The early forensic evidence showed that a fire had been set in the flat, but it didn't take properly, so the house wasn't badly damaged by fire.
The fire didn't really take, I think it was just slow burning. But if they'd done a good job on the fire, it could have just took this whole block. That was scary.
With the fire having been set after the attack, detectives speculate whether Marina's killer had tried to destroy evidence at the scene.
They won't have known if they left any forensic evidence there. They won't have known if they left any fingerprints there. They won't have known for sure that someone didn't see them either going or coming back.
Forensic experts are called in. They need to examine the scene to find any clues that might point to Marina's attacker.
When we got there, it was obvious that I wasn't able to do my job. The reason I couldn't do it is because the fire that was started on the stairs had produced a certain excessive amount of soot throughout the flat. And the whole flat was covered in a thin layer of soot, which meant you couldn't see the blood. So at that point, after a brief look around, and we did locate some bloodstains, but it was obvious that the extent of that was much more than what we could see, we decided to go home and have a team of people come in and de-soot the scene, and then us to go back after that process has been done.
Forensics must wait until the thick layer of soot is meticulously cleared before they can work. But detectives do manage to question Marina's ex-husband, Gitas. He says he hasn't seen her, but reveals some information which leads investigators to look deeper into Marina's personal life. And they uncover some disturbing connections to some violent people.
Following the ending of a relationship with Gitas in 2015, she'd formed a new relationship. And it was quickly discovered that she had been involved in a very recent trial at Lincoln Crown Court. She had been charged with perverting the course of justice after her new partner was involved in a violent attack on another group of East Europeans.
The man in question is 42-year-old Alexandra Kudryasov.
Alexander, he worked at the same factory as well. Alexander was involved in what's it called, criminal activity and deviant behaviors and everything. He's got quite a rough background.
Police found out that a new boyfriend had recently been sent to prison for 18 years for grievous bodily harm, dreadful attacking involving knives. And Marina herself had been acquitted for conspiracy to pervert the course of justice in providing him with an alibi, only a matter of days before her body was found. Clearly, it was an obvious line of inquiry that her death might be something to do with those circumstances.
Police want to know, was Marina's involvement in a gang dispute anything to do with her death? Could this have been a revenge attack?
One theory that the police would have been exploring is that maybe one members of the group that were the victims would exact revenge on Marina's partner, and the fact that he'd been convicted and was now out of the way meant that, of course, there was no one to protect Marina at the time.
Police explore the possibility Marina had become mixed up with a bad crowd through her relationship with Alexander. The theory of a revenge attack takes hold, and the safety of Marina's friends and family becomes a police priority.
The fact that a group of East European men have been very, very badly injured by another group of East European men, obviously down in Boston, there would have been tensions between the various people involved, the various families.
Clearly, one of the concerns for the police initially was the welfare of the child. And
that it wasn't a knife used. Could have been done with fists, kicking, or a blunt instrument.
It was clearly a very violent and cold-blooded killing.
And with the scene now cleared of soot from the fire, forensic results arrive, which further paints a horrific picture.
What we found was a large pool of blood in the living room with smears around it, and there were small spots of blood radiating from it, indicating that there's been impacts in that area, probably into Marina herself. I suspect that she's gone into the living room for whatever reason, been hit, gone down almost straight away, and then been assaulted on the floor by punching or kicking or with a blunt instrument.
Forensic results also show bloodied track marks from the living room to the bathroom.
The two track marks is where her heels were in contact with the ground as she's been dragged across the landing and into the bathroom. In the bathroom, there were spatters of blood around the bath and on the floor. to indicate that she'd been further assaulted in that area. Her body was found naked in the bath. There was no blood-stained clothing, so when it happened, she was most likely naked. And the pathologist said that Maria had actually been drowned by having the shower head forced into her mouth, and it was that which actually killed her in the end, was the cause of death.
But who could have carried out such an horrific attack? Had Marina become sucked into a gangland dispute and paid the ultimate price for it?
We'd heard that she had gone to court to do with this gang-related thing.
Yeah.
We thought she'd just got her. They'd found out where she lived and got her.
In the Lincolnshire town of Boston, police are investigating the murder of 33-year-old Marina Urte, who was found in her own home, beaten and drowned in the bath. Her boyfriend, Alexandra Kudryasov, is in prison, serving an 18-year sentence for a vicious attack during a gangland dispute. Whilst he is ruled out as a suspect, there are suspicions that Marina has been murdered in a gangland revenge attack.
After it happened, we used to see this really spruced up black car coming past. We kept thinking, oh, is this to do with, like, this gang-related thing? That's pretty much everybody's first thoughts, wasn't it?
But police are keeping an open mind.
It's the age-old adage, ABC of investigating. Accept nothing, believe no one, and check absolutely everything. If it was anything to do with the grievous bodily harm trial and Marina being acquitted of conspiracy and almost a revenge attack by perhaps those people that had been the victims in the first place, one would expect it to be almost tit for tat. Revenge is usually about, I'm going to give you what you gave to me. That's what revenge is. Revenge doesn't normally extend to attacking a defenseless woman in her own home, viciously and violently over a prolonged period of time. That, to me, was not a revenge attack.
Police also suspect that the lack of a forced entry points to a different explanation.
That immediately means to me, this is personal. That would be my first thought there. This is not a random attack. This isn't a burglary gone wrong or anything like that. This is personal, for some reason or other. Whoever did this to Marina knew her, and Marina knew them and had let them in the house.
With this latest theory, police look closely at Marina's inner circle.
One of the key elements is always to find out who saw the victim alive last.
Police would have been looking to question those who were closely connected to Marina. That would have been her former partner and her former husband, also her sister who lived nearby. As every police officer knows, most murders are committed by people known to the victim, so it would have been their primary avenue of inquiry.
As Marina and her ex-husband Gytis had shared custody of their daughter, police question him about the last time he saw her.
Under questioning, Gytis did disclose his movements on the night and day before the murder. He disclosed that he'd been celebrating his birthday.
He immediately said, yeah, Marina had come to his house, had then gone to a supermarket and bought some whiskey, and then gone back to her flat.
This would have been late in the evening into the early hours of the next day. And he said that he left Marina's flat at 2 o'clock in the morning, and that when he left, she was fine.
They'd had a pleasant evening, they'd had a few drinks, but there was nothing else. He was saying, it's not me.
With Gytis admitting to being with Marina on the night of the murder, but claiming to have left on good terms at 2 a.m., investigators have little else to link him to the murder.
That he'd said that he'd been at the flat the night before. That poses actually an interesting dilemma for a senior investigating officer. Is what do you do with that? It's only suspicion. There is no hard evidence. You are hoping you're going to find some hard evidence through maybe forensic examination of the scene, CCTV, or anything like that, but that takes a long time.
Even without evidence against Gytis, police need to act fast in case he is in any way connected to the crime.
As the senior investigating officer, it's your decision whether to arrest a suspect, and not only whether to arrest a suspect at that time, when you do it and under what circumstances. The senior investigating officer in this case took the view that it was the most advantageous way for the investigation was to make an early arrest.
Gytis Griskevicius is arrested on suspicion of the murder of his ex-wife Marina.
Won't have been an easy decision. There would have been a train of thought undoubtedly about, well, there's no evidence here that he's involved.
Maura Murray disappeared on Monday, February 9th, 2004. When a person disappears without a trace, often the most critical information is hidden in their actions and words from the days before they vanished. Maura Murray's last known whereabouts may hold the clues to what happened to her.
I thought everything was okay.
Maura Murray is a 21-year-old college student. It seems like she has everything going for her.
They were talking of getting married.
She was on the dean's list.
But the mysterious events surrounding the days before her disappearance puzzle those who know and love her.
I don't have the slightest idea what was in her mind.
She leaves her dorm room in Massachusetts and drives to the next state. Nobody knows where she is headed.
I don't know why she came to New Hampshire. I don't know. I'd be guessing the same with everybody else.
When her car veers off this dark and windy highway, she seems to disappear into thin air.
Our Maura is gone. It was like a nightmare.
It's Saturday morning, February 7th, 2004. Fred Murray is driving to pick his daughter Maura up from the University of Massachusetts, Amherst. Little does he know that in only 3 days, she will disappear.
When Maura got to UMass, I'd go up there once a month or so. In fact, the weekend, last weekend I saw her, I was up at UMass and we went searching to find a car. So get her a car, you know, to go to do her nursing clinical trips and stuff like that.
21-year-old Maura Murray has juggled a busy college schedule, running track and cross country, and working 2 part-time jobs. Besides studying, she must do work for her nursing degree that requires long drives from campus.
Now, Maura had a car with her in Amherst, but the car was falling apart. It was really time for her to get a new car.
Maura's rundown car will figure prominently in her disappearance 3 days later.
And we had one picked out, and we're going to go up there next weekend and get it. But that didn't happen. It would have been safe. I wish I had bought it that weekend.
According to Fred Murray and Maura's friends at the time at UMass, it seemed to be a pretty normal weekend. Her father was visiting, everything seemed fine.
And that night in Amherst, we went to the Amherst brew pub and had supper. Whenever we went to some place, especially if it's a college town or something like that, if we could find a brew pub, we would go to it, you know.
But the events of that weekend would create a mystery even her closest friends can't explain.
Maura and I grew up in a small town called Hanson, Massachusetts. We had a tight group of friends, and we stayed close all the way through high school and into college, and always stayed in touch.
There was 7 of us that were always together. If something was really bothering Maura, she definitely would have come out and, one way or the other, hinted at something was wrong.
The last time we hung out with Maura, everything seemed totally normal. We didn't notice anything different with her.
Maura's life seems to be on the right track, both at school and with her family. Her friends know Maura is particularly close to her father.
The first basketball team Maura and I played on, our dads were both coaches. Maura and her dad were very close growing up. She lived with her mom, but her dad was here picking her up for practices, bringing her to games.
Her parents divorced when she was 6 years old, and she remained living with her mother, but she maintained a very close relationship with her father.
It seemed like the last weekend Maura and her dad had spent together was pretty typical of their relationship.
After enjoying their brewhouse dinner that Saturday night, Fred lets Maura borrow his new car. She drops him off at his motel. Then the weekend takes a sudden and unexpected turn.
Sunday morning, Maura woke me up. She had come back, during the night, and told me that she had had an accident in my car.
She was involved in an accident in Hadley, Mass, where she went off the road and struck a set of guardrails. She was driving her father's new car at the time and did about $10,000 worth of damage.
Well, Maura was upset, and it haunts me, but, I think she felt she let her father down.
At 4:49 a.m. Sunday morning, a distraught Maura calls her long-distance boyfriend, Billy Rausch, who is stationed in Fort Sill, Oklahoma. Billy later shares the conversation with his mother, Sharon.
So she calls Billy, and he talked with her. He calmed her down. And then he promised her that he would call her back later in the day.
Maura and Billy have been dating since 2001. They met while both were attending West Point.
From the moment I met her, I knew that she loved my son, and of course that endeared her to me.
When Maura decided to transfer from West Point to UMass, Billy and Maura continued their relationship, spending many holidays and summers with Billy's family.
By the time that she was here over the holidays in 2003 and early 2004, they shared that, they were talking of getting married.
I think Maura looked at Sharon as if she was a second mom. She always went out there, and we knew that she was excited to go.
To describe Maura as a challenge, I don't want to say she's complex, but she was so multifaceted, She could be serious, she could be so funny and witty. She always had this little soft giggle, and she was very soft-spoken, but she was fun-loving. She loved life, she loved to laugh.
The next day, when Fred Murray sees his daughter, she's still upset about the accident.
I drove her back to the dorm. I could see she was still upset. I told her it would be all right. It was going to be covered. It would be okay, And she went into the dorm, and that's the last I ever saw of her, which will haunt me forever.
A few hours later, at 11:26 p.m., Maura speaks on the phone with her father one final time.
Checked on my insurance. I called her back, said, we're okay. The insurance will be taken care of, so I'm not going to be out a lot of money. I said, you're going to have to make out accident reports, probably in triplicate. So get the 3 forms from the police station or wherever you have to get them, and call me tomorrow night, 8 o'clock.
But Maura's call to her father will never take place, and her actions will surprise everyone who knows her.
There was no death in the family. She did lie.
The car would get fixed, and my insurance.
We got back on our computer on the afternoon of the night, and during the course of a couple hours, searched several sites to include getting directions from Amherst, Mass, to the Burlington, Vermont area.
Here she was looking for different directions up to New Hampshire, and I think onto Burlington, Vermont. I mean, it would seem a little strange, especially since classes had just started.
No one knows what Maura was planning the day before she disappears, but her last cell phone calls leave clues.
We have Maura's cell phone records because her cell phone was an additional line to Billy's cell phone. So, you know, Billy not only gave her a phone for Christmas, he paid the monthly bill. When his bill came, then, you know, we automatically saw all the calls that she made.
At 12:55 p.m. Monday, February 9th, 2004, Maura calls the owner of a Bartlett, New Hampshire condo rental. Her father recognizes the town. It's a place Maura knew well.
She was going to Bartlett. There's no question. She was going to Bartlett, and that's what she knows. She's familiar with. She stayed in every place in Bartlett. She can get a room there, and even if she can't, she knows other places. Maura has been coming up here since she was born.
Maura grew up every summer and parts of winters and springs and falls going all up through New Hampshire. She's hiked so many of those mountains up there with her dad.
They wanted to do the highest mountains as best they could, and she loved hiking.
Maura's friends know her to be very athletic, excelling at many sports.
Maura played just about every sport possible growing up. Maura and I were always on the same teams, and we were captains of the cross-country team senior year. But she was always the one leading the pack and winning most of just about all of the races, and including doing top finishes in the state.
She was recruited to West Point for her running ability.
After transferring from West Point, she attended the University of Massachusetts Amherst, where she ran track and cross country. Back at her dorm room that February afternoon, just hours before her disappearance, Maura sends an email to her boyfriend.
He did receive an email from her that day, around 1 or 1:30, and in that email, she told him that she loved him and that she was sorry she hadn't returned his messages from the day before. She hadn't felt like talking to much of anyone.
Whatever Maura's state of mind is, she makes a number of phone calls that afternoon.
Maura made another phone call to 1-800-GO-STOW, which is a reservation phone line for hotels in the Stowe, Vermont area. But research shows that at the time that Maura called, the line was actually out of order. So Maura could listen to listings for different hotels, but she could not actually make a reservation on this line. But that just shows that Maura, again, was looking for a place to stay in the Vermont, New Hampshire area.
Then, 13 minutes after phoning the Go Stowe hotline, Maura calls her boyfriend, but gets his voicemail.
She didn't say much other than promising to call him. Sorry she missed him.
Maura hasn't told anyone she's thinking about leaving town. She finally shares her plans, but it's not with anybody close to her.
Maura had sent an email to her nursing professors. I don't know word for word, but in it she told them that she needed to be away for a week due to a death in the family.
Her friends know there has been no death in Maura's family.
We thought it was a little bizarre when we first heard that Maura had sent an email to professors saying, "There's a death in the family, I have to take off for a week."
Not really like her, but if something was going on, she did need to get away, then kind of explains it. Why she didn't call one of us, I don't know. I mean, maybe we could have helped her out, figured something out together.
She did lie, but, you know, Maura was not a liar.
Around 3:30, we assume Maura got into her car at UMass Amherst and left the campus. Her first stop was to an ATM machine where she withdrew $280. That pretty much depleted Maura's account with that bank. Maura then stopped at a local liquor store. At the liquor store, Maura bought a bottle of Kahlua, a bottle of Bailey's, a bottle of vodka, and a box of red wine.
Maura's stop to the liquor store is known because the receipt of what she purchases is later found in her wrecked car.
Kahlua, Bailey's, and vodka are known for making a White Russian. No one understands why Mara bought such a large quantity of alcohol for if she was traveling alone.
There was surveillance camera at the ATM, so we could see still photographs where she walked up to the ATM, withdrew the money, and there didn't appear to be anybody in the background or anywhere that we could see from the camera photos.
It's 4:37 p.m., and phone records show Maura checks her voicemail. This is the last known call from Maura's cell phone. Presumably, at this point in the afternoon, she's now driving towards New Hampshire.
She had an extremely adventurous sense of spirit. When we first heard that Mara had taken off and gone up to New Hampshire, it seemed a little odd to us, but not totally, because I remember a day in high school that she decided she just wanted to go off and do something different, so she hopped on the train herself, went to Boston, didn't necessarily tell us, but by the end of the day she was back after all of us had been spending the whole day trying to track her down.
The next day, Maura's father will hear the worst news of his life.
Your daughter's missing. She's in an accident. The police don't seem to know where she is.
It's Monday afternoon, February 9th, 2004. Momentarily, this 21-year-old nursing student will go missing. It seems she's planning a getaway, but connecting the clues is complicated.
As to why Maura left, I don't know. In my position as father, you would think that maybe there would have been something said, but I have no hint. I thought everything was okay, you know?
Some think perhaps Maura is not doing well at school, and that's why she's leaving.
I wasn't aware of any stuff like school troubles. She was on the dean's list in a very difficult program, a nursing program. Hard to get in, hard to do well in.
When it came to academics, she was always very serious and one of the top members of our class by the time we all graduated.
The recipients this year are the 5 top-ranking students in the senior class. The awards are $400 to Maura Murray.
I think everybody felt that she was doing okay at school, but there also were some issues, I think, that were causing her great stress in her private life.
Around 5 p.m., Monday, February 9th, this Dean's List student is on the road, driving a rundown car hours away from her dorm, without telling anybody where she is going.
I knew she was having car trouble. We had gotten her a AAA membership with the long-distance towing because we were concerned about her.
It was pretty cold. The road was slippery.
Fred Murray is tracing his daughter's last known steps.
She went west on, I would say, what is it, 116 into Route 91, which we're on now.
She's driving away from her UMass Amherst dorm towards New Hampshire.
She's going to take this right down until she finds 112 East. This is what she was looking for. I wish she had gone straight.
And after traveling over 140 miles...
Maura is not familiar with this area.
Around 7:30 p.m., her car veers off the road.
Maura came around the corner, and so the car wasn't running properly. It impacted right down here. There was a big snowbank here. It's so dark here. If you're looking in this direction, you can't see your hand in front of your face.
This is Maura's second car accident in 3 days. A school bus driver stops to help her.
I just asked her how she was. She said she was shaken up. I couldn't see any blood on her face. And she was shaking like this. I says, okay, I'm going to go call the police.
What the bus driver told us, she didn't appear to be hurt. He offered to call the police for for assistance, and she really asked him not to. She said that she had called AAA, but it being in the location of the mountains, he also knew that there was no cell phone coverage there. So he was quite convinced that she hadn't been able to make that call. So he went home, which was a short distance down the road, and called the local police department.
Around 10 minutes later, at 7:45 p.m., police arrive at the accident scene, looking for any trace of the driver.
The police officer at the scene noticed that the windshield was broken in front of where the driver would be seated. The airbags had gone off. There was damage to the front end of the vehicle. When he got there, he found that there was nobody with the vehicle.
In the blink of an eye, this vivacious, athletic young co-ed disappears.
He noticed that there was a box of wine, like a 5-liter box of wine, behind the driver's side seat. He could see that through the window. He noticed in the snow what appeared to be something pink that had been poured into the snow. Subsequently, when they removed the vehicle, he found a Coke bottle, and it smelled like there had been an alcoholic beverage in that bottle.
I spoke with the one witness that actually talked to Maura Murray that night at the accident scene. That witness says that Maura appeared a bit shook up, but she did not appear intoxicated.
There didn't appear to be any evidence at the scene which would indicate anything other than she had left the scene under her own power. There wasn't any evidence of a struggle of any kind. The vehicle was locked.
The police officer at the scene of the accident searches the surrounding area. Maura is nowhere to be found.
Well, the initial accident investigation, led the police officers to believe that this was simply a case of someone who had been involved in a motor vehicle accident and did not wish to, at least initially that night, have contact with the police.
The next day, police speak on the phone with Maura's family.
As a result of those conversations, they then became concerned that Maura might be depressed. Her father described it, that she was depressed in having crashed his car on Saturday night.
Fred Murray remembers receiving the shocking and mystifying news.
The way I felt was just the world just stopped. Your daughter's missing. She's in an accident. It's in the woods, way up, and not in New Hampshire. The police don't seem to know where she is. I couldn't. I wanted to get up here immediately.
The next morning, Maura's boyfriend receives a strange voicemail message.
The message basically, in and of itself, was just a woman breathing and then possibly a whimper or some sort of noise at the end, which we believe to be her.
I don't know why she came to New Hampshire. I don't know. I'd be guessing the same with everybody else.
It's Wednesday, February 11th, 2004. Fred Murray has just driven all night from his work in Bridgeport, Connecticut, after hearing his daughter's car has been abandoned, far away from her dorm room, and she is nowhere to be found.
I get up here at daybreak, to join the search.
Maura's mother, Lori, is living a mother's worst nightmare. She's unable to leave her home in Hanson, Massachusetts to join the search due to a fractured ankle.
Eventually, the rest of my family showed up, and Bill Roush, Maura's boyfriend, and his mother and father, Bill and Sharon, showed up.
But during his trip from Fort Sill, Oklahoma to New Hampshire, Maura's boyfriend, Billy, receives a mysterious voice message on his cell phone.
Billy called frantic around 7 a.m. on Wednesday morning. And he says, Mom, he said, while I was going through security, I missed a call. And he said, I'm sure it was Maura.
The message basically, in and of itself, was just a woman breathing and then possibly a whimper or some sort of noise at the end, which we believe to be her.
He said there was some, really soft sobbing and shivering sounds and sniffing. And he said, I don't know what to do. He said, I called it back, and it says it's a prepaid calling card.
They have hope the call is from Maura, since Sharon knows Maura uses prepaid calling cards.
Before Mara had her cell phone, she called Billy with prepaid calling card. And when Mara was here for Thanksgiving in 2003, I gave her 2 prepaid calling cards. And so that's always, you know, added to our belief that it's very likely that Mara made that very unusual call that Billy received that morning.
Once Christmas, but if they had asked me, I'd have given them something that she used all the time, like running gear or something like that. But I don't know. Maybe she.
On Wednesday, Billy was questioned extensively. They give us a press release.
Maura is described as endangered and possibly suicidal.
Well, in any press release, you want to let the public know, especially if you're looking for help. So you want to give those details so that someone who lives in the area or wherever will just be on the lookout for something out of the ordinary. So that information was included in the early press releases that she might be depressed and she may have come up here to harm herself.
So they proceed to tell us that there's no evidence of foul play. Mara is 21 years old. She is an adult. She has the right and the privilege to go missing of her own choice. We're thinking, oh, this can't be. She's gone. That's our, that's our foul play. Our Mara is gone.
While her family and friends are trying not to lose hope,
Maura's loved ones are interviewed by the media.
Scared, and I'm desperate.
It's not something we want to dwell on, but we're keeping, we're trying to stay logical and rational, and it just appears that someone more than likely picked her up with bad intentions.
I don't think she's able to contact us. There was no way that she would ever not contact us.
No matter what, they still cling to hope that somewhere out there, Maura may be listening.
Everybody's here looking for you, and just call any one of us, and we'll come right down and get you. Don't be afraid, please.
I love you, Maura. I miss you so much, obviously you know that, and the sooner that I get to see you and be with you again, obviously, the better.
So please, kid, if you're listening to me, we can just bang away at this stuff.
Brought her belongings back to the motel on Friday, February 13th. She had her running clothes. She had a bag with her school books, which include her syllabus. So it shows every intent on doing her schoolwork while she was away. She had every intent on maintaining her, her exercise regimen.
Also found in Mara's car was a book titled Not Without Peril. It was a book chronicling different hikers that had gone into the presidential range of New Hampshire's mountains, and they either never returned or they were badly injured.
Book Not Without Peril was in Mara's car because Mara and I climbed in Mount Washington, and when you read the book, it mentions all these different trails and all the different adventures, some ending happily, some ending in death. People have frozen to death up there. But for the most part, it's uplifting.
Some people speculate, why was Mara reading this particular book? A book about hikers that go into the mountains and never return. But others say this was just one of Mara's favorite books.
With nothing to go on but hope, Maura's family is determined to continue looking for her. During their search, Maura's sister discovers a disturbing potential clue.
Women's underwear were found right down here, more on top of the ice than buried in it. We turned the underwear into the state police, but never heard another word.
There were some items of clothing that were turned into law enforcement. We did forensic testing on those and were able to determine that they were not, in fact, belonging to Mara.
After weeks of constant searching,
I've searched all down through here.
Devastated and exhausted, Maura's loved ones return home.
I personally search any place that would be significant to her, that would be meaningful, that we went to a lot, that would be special for Maura, but she hadn't been to any of those places.
But witnesses are about to come forward, including one who claims to have seen the young Maura Murray.
The young woman had her arms folded in front of her and seemed to be mouthing the words, "Help me."
In the days and months after that fateful February 9th, 2004, when his daughter disappears from the scene of her one-car accident, Fred Murray hopes for answers, even though there seems to be no leads and no suspects.
Fred, God has just really blessed him and giving him the strength. You know, at his age, he goes up there week after week after week, and he keeps searching the sides of the roads. He keeps searching the woods.
Months after Maura's disappearance, Sharon and Fred decide to do more follow-up, investigating Maura's final cell phone calls themselves.
It wasn't until Fred and I decided in the fall of 2004 that we were going to go back to square one and check some things out that I called these phone numbers.
Hello? I picked up the phone, and it was Sharon. She had said that she obtained Maura's cell phone records, and that I was one of the last people to speak with her, and that she had gone missing.
Linda and her husband own a condo in Bartlett, New Hampshire. And Fred and Maura and Billy had stayed there in late summer of 2003. At the time that I learned this, I went online, and this condo by the Salamonis was the least expensive to rent. So I'm confident that that is why that Maura chose that one.
This 12:55 p.m. call on February 9th, 2004, lasts 3 minutes. Unfortunately, Linda Salamoni is unable to remember more about her conversation with Maura because she is contacted so many months afterwards.
I felt like I might have been able to help at that time if I had just received a phone call. I could have said, yes, she sounded distressed, or no, she was okay, and this is where she was heading, or whatever, any little bit. So then I felt very frustrated because I still, felt I might have been able to help.
One thing Linda is sure of, she didn't rent a condo to Maura that week.
There was no way for her to get in. We would have to give her the keys. We would make sure that we knew who we were renting it to.
Fred Murray is frustrated with the lack of progress in the case.
Fred has also filed a lawsuit against the state police of New Hampshire and the local police of New Hampshire, trying to obtain the records, the documents pertaining to the Maura Murray case.
My only relief would be the FBI coming in or getting the release of the case records myself. And neither one's going to happen because the court system backs up the state police.
Court decisions have ruled that records relating to the case cannot be released to the public, stating it would interfere with future law enforcement proceedings.
At some point, we may get that piece of evidence which says that she was the victim of a crime. And in solving that case, you want to be able to have everything that you've done from the beginning to that point forward admissible in court if you have to go to trial.
To add to the mystery and the frustration, reporter Maribeth Conway says she spoke to a witness who says she actually encountered Maura Murray, looking very distressed.
She saw a young woman with an older man, a man probably in his 60s. The young woman had her arms folded in front of her and seemed to be mouthing the words, "Help me." The woman finally realized what was happening, but before she really had a chance to do anything about it, the young woman and the man left. The woman did not get license plate numbers or any further of a description of this young girl. She swears that this young woman is Maura Murray.
We've had reported sightings of Maura in Rochester, New Hampshire, in Vermont, in other states. We've always determined that it was not, in fact, Mara.
The interesting thing about the Maura Murray case is that there are so many theories still to this day. Maura was possibly suicidal. She was possibly running away. She could also have been kidnapped.
When the press releases came out about
Mara went missing. There were many things that were said. You know, one of the things was that, well, you know, Mara has run off with another boyfriend, and Billy, you know, was confronted with this, and he said, "I hope she has. You know, if she is with another young man, then she is safe."
I think we never thought it would go past a few days. We just thought eventually she'd turn up and there'd be answers, and maybe she'd have a great story to tell after the fact. Some adventure happened. Never thought that 4.5 years later, 5 years later, we'd just have more questions than answers. So this is Mara's last email to the group of girls.
Mora's friends feel her last email to them proves she was not planning any sort of long-term getaway.
She writes, "Dane Cook is playing at UMass, and we went to get tickets and it was sold out. I missed out again. But I did some research and he plays in Storrs, Connecticut, February 12th, not too from UMass." She points out that it's February 12th, so it would be 3 days after she actually went missing. So to me, it shows that that's not someone who was trying to take off permanently. She wouldn't just make plans and then completely ditch them in our minds.
We don't really know what happened to Mara, and though we learn more and more all the time, we don't seem to be able to solve this mystery.
To date, we haven't been able to come up with that answer, but it's certainly my hope, and I know the investigators working on this case, that we will one day have the answer for the family. Because I can't imagine what it's like not to know what happened to your daughter.
I think some local dirtbag grabbed her. And she was in the wrong place at the wrong time.
In our minds, one of two things had to have happened to Mara that night. And that was either she succumbed to the elements, which is possible, or someone harmed her. Because we are convinced that with the items that were packed in her car and the fact that there was no note, she was not planning on taking her life.
As the days have turned into months, and the months into years, Mora's closest friends still have trouble accepting the reality of her disappearance.
she's missing everything. I mean, we graduated from college and she missed it. We don't have any more pictures of her. It's hard.
It's just hard to put into words. It's just one of those things you hear in the news or read about, but you just never assume that something had happened to you or one of your friends. Clearly, it's been 4.5 years and the emotions are still here.
We don't want Mara to be gone. We want her to be out there, starting a new life. But we have to face ourselves in the mirror and deal with what we know, the facts that we know. And now, after, all of this time, it's not just our minds that tell us that something has happened to Mara, it's our hearts too.
However heart-wrenching the answer is, Maura's father refuses to give up searching for his daughter.
I'm going to be up here all the time. I'm going to follow up any lead that a local gives me. I'm trying to do everything I can do. My conscience wouldn't, I wouldn't be able to stand myself if I didn't. I wouldn't be able to look at a picture of Maura if I knew that I wasn't doing everything I could possibly do. And it's just whatever time I have left, that's what I'm going to do with it. She was my buddy, and I don't have my buddy. I'm just my buddy.
Michelle McMullen disappeared on September 28, 2008. When a person disappears without a trace, often the most critical information is hidden in their actions and words from the days before they vanished. Michelle McMullen's last known whereabouts may hold the clues to what happened to her. Michelle McMullen, an adoring single mother and dedicated student, vanishes on a road trip her family knows nothing about.
Something has happened to her, but we can't find where she is.
This is a missing person. This is a mother. This is someone that people want to find. They care a lot about her.
Her parents feared the worst.
God, I know you know where she is, but help us to find her.
Police dig deep for evidence to explain her disappearance.
If she was in some sort of distress or trouble, we wanted to find her and help her.
They turn up nothing, until her car is discovered abandoned across the state line.
I couldn't understand how it could all happen in front of their eyes and no one have any idea what took place.
But as police work to unravel the mystery, they discover a trail of clues that takes the case in an unexpected direction and leads to an extraordinary conclusion.
And that's when we started to put some of the puzzle together. Well, she may have a reason not to be found.
We believe that something happened to her, but she's hunted down like a criminal.
On the day before she disappears, 27-year-old college student Michelle McMullen leaves her apartment in Ruston, Louisiana, and begins the long 18-hour drive to her hometown of Harrisburg, Pennsylvania. She's bringing her 6-year-old son, Jaden, back to live with her parents. A month earlier, Michelle had moved with Jaden thousands of miles away so she could complete her degree at Grambling State University in Louisiana.
She was very serious. She was taking online courses. When it got close to the time for her to complete her studies, they told her she had to go to school there in order to finish.
She has been a very dedicated mother. Jaden has been pretty much her life. She's spent most every waking moment caring for him. She focuses most of her activities around him.
And as a determined student, Michelle is intent on forging a better future for her and her son.
Michelle was a very attentive and a very focused to identify, how she needed to move forward in most things in her life.
But when Michelle arrives at school, she is stunned to learn that the grant she had been expecting has not yet been approved.
So she was very frustrated. I mean, she had planned on not having to need monies to pay for schooling for the fall. She had to sit down and figure out how she was going to pay for school, pay for her room and board, pay for books. Certainly the school said, well, you can come back in January, but she had moved everything, 1,000 miles. You just can't move back home and then move back again.
Resolved not to let her financial situation become a barrier to an education, Michelle takes a job at a local McDonald's. But the pressures of being a single parent and a full-time student become too much for her.
She had Jaden with her son. She was that attached to him and that close that she wanted him to be with her. Now, finding out that she had to also take on a full-time job as well as her school and trying to raise a son, it became very overwhelming. She just didn't know what to do. She was kind of, stuck between bringing her son back home or trying to keep him there with her. And our advice was to bring him home to family and friends here.
Michelle agrees Jayden would be better off living with her parents in Harrisburg while she finishes school.
I spoke with her and, about me coming down, flying down to pick up Jayden and bringing him back. Then she decided that that's what she would do.
But that's not what happens. No one could have predicted what Michelle would do next. On Friday, September 26th, Michelle arrives at work. Unexpectedly, her boss gives her the weekend off.
I believe that it was September 26th, which was a Friday, that she was scheduled for work, and her boss at the McDonald's, she indicated that that Friday she had to make some scheduling changes, and she gave Michelle off unexpectedly that Friday evening until Tuesday. So Michelle now saw a window of opportunity that she could travel and bring Jayden back home during that time and didn't have class until Tuesday morning.
Curiously, Michelle chooses not to tell her parents she's decided to make the 1,200-mile trip from Louisiana to Pennsylvania.
Well, when I spoke with her before her disappearance, she didn't give me any inclination or anything that she was coming up that time. And I think she may have wanted to surprise us, and to show us that she can take that kind of drive.
It's a decision that continues to haunt the McMullins. That Saturday afternoon, after attending her college's homecoming football game, Michelle sets off with Jayden.
Our estimation is, based on the time, it's about an 18-hour drive, that she would have had to have left probably around 3 or 5 o'clock that afternoon.
Michelle drives through the night, stopping only for gas.
Michelle drove here in an amount of time that would certainly say that she didn't stop very much. I asked Jayden if they had stopped and slept, and Jayden said he slept and took naps, but he said every time he woke up, his mom was still driving.
Michelle makes one phone call from the road to a childhood friend in Harrisburg.
I understand that Michelle, upon arriving in Harrisburg, spoke to her friend, told her friend that she was coming in town and that she needed to drop her son with her.
Michelle asks her friend to watch Jayden for the weekend and then take him to Michelle's parents on Tuesday once Michelle is back at school. Her friend later tells the McMullins that Michelle had specifically instructed her not to tell them of her trip until she dropped Jayden off.
Certainly our feelings were that Michelle did not contact us primarily because we would have not left her leave immediately upon arriving after driving such a long time.
I would have insisted that she stay, even if I had to sit on her and, take her keys or whatever it is that I needed to do, but she would not have left that night.
Michelle's spur-of-the-moment trip sets into motion a series of events that will devastate her family. Around 8:30 Sunday evening, Michelle arrives at her friend's place in Harrisburg with Jayden.
After meeting with her friend, she got back in her car, and this was about 9 p.m. on Sunday evening.
Before starting the 18-hour journey back to Louisiana, Michelle assures her friend that she won't continue without stopping to rest.
Michelle's friend was concerned about her traveling after having been up for such a long period of time. Michelle had told her friend that she had some pillows and blankets in the car and that she would stop along the way back, but that she was certainly intent on trying to get back to school by Tuesday morning.
But Michelle promises her that once on the road again, she will call to check in. And she does. The call lasts only a few minutes. It is the last time anyone speaks to Michelle McMullin before she disappears. As the search begins, her family worries. Could an alarming medical issue be responsible? It's Monday morning, and Michelle's close friend hasn't heard from her since their brief phone call the night before. Michelle has left her 6-year-old with her and started the drive back to school in Louisiana. The friend tries Michelle's cell, but her repeated calls go unanswered.
The friend, after making several attempts to reach Michelle, became very concerned that possibly something had derailed or there had been some issue.
Weighing her promise not to call the McMullins until Tuesday against her concern for Michelle's safety, Michelle's friend finally picks up the phone.
My wife got a phone call on that Monday morning that her friend or close friend thought immediately that something had happened.
And I'm like, what? You know, because I'm livid. I'm like going, like my mind is racing. Like, what are you talking about?
On the phone, the friend explains that Michelle had been in Harrisburg over the weekend and left Jaden in her care. And she tells them that she hasn't been able to reach Michelle all day. Michelle's parents begin calling everyone they know who Michelle could possibly be in touch with, hoping someone has had contact with her.
We started making calls to her school, to her job, to places that we thought she might have made contact with in her trip back. Monday would have been, for the most part, a day of travel. So we just really didn't panic because I never imagined that something horrific may have happened. We just felt that Michelle was just en route, that she was making her way back. She didn't want to spend time talking. We were concerned, but yet not fearful.
But on Tuesday morning, when they find out Michelle hasn't shown up for her classes, they know something is very wrong. It's almost unheard of for Michelle to miss school.
On Tuesday, we called the police.
We became involved when her father, Mr. McMullen, called the police department and reported her missing. He described his daughter as you know, a normal kid, single mother, working hard, going to school, was heading back down to college, and basically never showed up.
But the police also explain that not enough time has gone by for Michelle to technically be listed as a missing person.
The authorities said that at that point they couldn't help us. They couldn't do anything until the necessary time had elapsed of her missing. So pretty much throughout that Tuesday, we're very concerned. We're very, I want to almost say frantic.
On Wednesday, 72 hours have now passed since Michelle went missing. Her father, Michael, is finally able to file a missing persons report. Her name is also entered into the National Crime Information Center, or NCIC, database that law enforcement officers use to track missing people.
That's nationwide, so whoever would come in contact with her, she was listed as a missing person.
When police question Michelle's parents, trying to find out anything that might help them locate Michelle, they discover she's been plagued by severe migraine headaches.
The father, Mr. McMullen, had told us that, and that was a concern.
Police learned that a year earlier, one attack was so serious that Michelle collapsed unconscious. In fact, her son Jaden, then 5, dialed 911, and paramedics were dispatched to the scene to revive her.
And he kept calling her, Mom, Mom, and she wouldn't answer. So he didn't know what else to do, so he just picked up the phone and dialed 911 himself.
Michelle was rushed to the local hospital. She later tells her family that before the attack, her vision had become blurry. Was it possible that Michelle experienced a migraine attack so severe to cause a car accident? It sounds like a chillingly reasonable explanation to her father.
We felt that Michelle had been in an accident, that she just, was not in any condition to be driving over 1,000 miles with such little sleep.
The possibility that an injured Michelle might be stranded on the road, somewhere between Pennsylvania and Louisiana, haunts both her parents and law enforcement officials.
Some of those back roads down there, I mean, you could be missing for a month before anybody would spot your cars.
The McMullins immediately take action.
We mapped the route from here back down to Louisiana and the towns that were in between here, and to identify the hospitals.
From the religious bookstore and copy center they run, Michelle's parents call and send Michelle's photo to hospitals along Michelle's planned route to Louisiana, hoping that someone might recognize Michelle if she is lying in a hospital somewhere, unidentified.
So if she would have been in an accident, then we would have known about that, but we came up with nothing.
Next, police receive a new clue that will intensify the search for Michelle and deeply trouble her family. On Sunday, September 29th, Michelle McMullin goes missing while driving from Pennsylvania back to her college in Louisiana. Her father files a missing persons report with the local police. Because Michelle has a history of severe migraines, family members are concerned that Michelle may have been injured in a car accident and unable to call for help.
I mean, she was just a happy-go-lucky hometown girl going to college and raising a kid, single mother. You spend a lot of time spinning your wheels, and we weren't coming up with anything.
While continuing to investigate the possibility that Michelle has been in a car accident, Harrisburg investigators also begin exploring other theories to explain her disappearance. They interview the friend Michelle left her son with in Harrisburg. What she tells them is shocking. According to the friend, Michelle has run away, possibly abandoning her son.
This friend had said to the police that Michelle was ran away versus her being missing.
She tells police that Michelle left her a letter before she drove off.
She had written a letter. Michelle had done it herself, and it pretty much gave it to her friend, and she would be in contact with her, and I guess she wanted to check on her child.
The letter was addressed to her friend, and had a near stating the fact that they're sorry for getting them involved in it, getting them in the middle.
In addition to spelling out instructions on how Michelle's son should be cared for, the letter contains many perplexing statements.
I don't know what's going on, but I know the fingers are all on me. I was responsible for everything. I'm hurting and scared.
But Michelle's mother questions the authenticity of the letter.
I said, this is not Michelle's handwriting. I had to keep reading it because, like I said, this is not my daughter's handwriting. It's similar to her handwriting.